In this video, I'm going to do a couple demonstrations of the Vlookup function, and then in a subsequent video I'm going to demonstrate the if function, and finally in a third video we'll talk about how you might want to use the if function and Vlookup function together. So starting out with Vlookup, how is it used? I have an example where I have some item numbers and I need to know the description for each of the item number, and then of course I have the date sold here in column C. Well, the description per item number is in a different table or a different part of the spreadsheet. So for instance, this item is healthy trail mix, this one's resort polo. Well, when I downloaded this data, it didn't have a description. Maybe it's coming from a different table in a database or whatever. So I need to return the description off of this table next to the item number in this table. So I'm going to use the Vlookup function, and I just type them. So it's going to be Vlookup. And the first thing the Vlookup function wants is, well, what is the thing that I'm looking up? So that's your lookup value. So I hit parentheses, my cursor's right there. I'm just going to click on cell A2. That's the value I want to look up. Now I type a comma, which then moves me over to the table array, which is basically, that's not very easy to understand, but it's just saying, where do you want me to look for that value? So I will scroll down, and I just want to look through this data right here. The value that it's going to look up in A2 has to be in the leftmost column of whatever selection you use for the table array. And in this case it is. It's the item is in the leftmost column here, so I'm good to go there. So that's my table array. Now I'm going to be dragging this formula down because I want to return the description for every item. So I will hit F4 on the keyboard to absolute my table array. And now the third parameter I typed a comma is this column index number. And what that is in your table array, what column has the value that I want to return. In other words, in this table array, I only have two columns. This is 1 and this is 2. I want to return the value that's in column 2. So literally my column index number, I just type the number 2. That's it. And finally, this range lookup, it's optional. That's why the square brackets, but it's pretty important, and so I try to get students to always put it in. And that is, does this thing that I'm looking up here in A2 have to match exactly the value over here? And in this case, the answer is yes, it has to match exactly. And so you type the word false, which that's also a little counterintuitive, but I want an exact match. And so I type the word false, parenthesis, and I'm done with the Vlookup. And so when I hit enter, it now returns the fact that 55412 is a resort polo. I'm ready to drag this formula down or copy it down. My table array is locked. I want A2 to be relative so that when I drag it down one cell, it goes to A3. That remains locked, and I'm still returning column 2, which is the description. So that's an easy example of using Vlookup. Let's do another one. On this exercise number 2, from the class schedule, I downloaded the classes, the instructors, and how many students are in each class. Well, what I would like to add to this information is to the extension and the department for each of these instructors. Well, just to make it a little bit more difficult, I've put that information on another page or another worksheet. So I have an instructors page here. And so here is, maybe coming out of an HR system, is the instructors' names, their office extension, and their department. So I want to use a Vlookup to grab this guy's name, the instructor name, and find their extension. So again, I'll type equal Vlookup. I hit the tab key, and there's already a parenthesis there, and my lookup value is my name. I want to find that name. Now, where is that table array? So the thing to do is to click on the instructor sheet, and notice when I do that up here, it put the word instructors with an exclamation point. That's the name of the worksheet, and now I select through that data. So from A2 through D8. Again, because I'm going to drag that formula down, I need to absolute this table array, so I hit the F4 key. Now, something very important here is before you click on the sheet to go back to the Vlookup Exercise 2 tab, put in your comma. And so I'll show you what happens if you don't. If you don't put in your comma, right? I haven't put in my comma yet to go to the column index number. When I click back on the VLOOKUP exercise sheet, notice what happened to the worksheet name for my table array. All of a sudden it changed, and by the way, that's wrong, right? This isn't my table array. So you have to put in that comma first in order that basically locks in that worksheet name right there. So let's fix this. I'm going to select that table array because it went bad on me. I'm going to go back over here and do it again. There comes a sheet name. I select the data. I hit F4 because I want to absolute that table array. Now I put in a comma for the index number. At this point, I can click back on the VLOOKUP exercise. Before I do, by the way, I think I wanted the office or the extension. Just remember that the office is column 2 and the extension is column 3. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So office is column 2. So let's go back to the VLOOKUP exercise. It went ahead and put in the sheet name. When I clicked back there, I don't need it because remember, I'm just typing a number. I wanted the extension, which is column 3. All right, all I need is a 3 or a 2 or whatever. It's a column number, so I remove the sheet name, type a column again, and do I want an exact match? Does the name Louis Cousineau have to match Louis Cousineau? Yes. So I type the word false. That's important. And then I hit enter, and now I have that person's extension. I can drag this formula down and it will grab the extension off of this list for every instructor. Now let's say for fun I want to get their department. Let's just do it again. So I go VLOOKUP. I'm going to still look up the name, comma, where's my table array? So I run to instructors. There's my table array. I'm going to lock it. I'm going to put in my comma. This time I can see my column is the 4th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, the department. So I'm just going to type the 4, comma, and I want an exact match. Yes, meaning that the name, the instructor name off the other sheet has to match exactly the instructor name off this sheet. And also don't forget, VLOOKUP only works where in the table array, the thing that you're looking up has to be the left column of that table array. So now I should be good to know. I can hit enter, and now it grabs that department value and drag it down, and just so happens everybody's from the CIS department. But let's say I had an instructor switch and they went to the English department, enter. Well, then over here all of a sudden that instructor is in the English department over here also. So that's a quick overview of VLOOKUP where we want an exact match. I'm not going to cover a close match, but an example of that would be, here's my total cost of the order, and the shipping is based on the cost of the order. So if it's less than $100, we'll do 5. 100 to 200 is $20 in shipping. 200 to 330, etc. So when I look up this number and I want to find its value over in the table, well, I'm not going to find that number exactly, right? 752 isn't going to be over here. So when we talk about those VLOOKUPs, that's going to be an example of a close match. Everything we just covered now was an exact match.